Okay, guys, so we're going to talk a little bit about pre-qualifying, okay, which is one of the three P's whenever it comes to how your business should break down on a day-to-day basis. 80% of your time, of course, as we've mentioned, should be broken down into prospecting, pre-qualifying, and presenting, and it should be equally done during the day with whichever part of your business needs more attention. Okay, so I mentioned this in one of the other videos. I'll mention this one and the following videos. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that we're leveling up at an equal level as we learn and get better at these different things that we're doing. So if your prospecting is really good and your pre-qualifying and your presenting is not so good, all that's going to do is cause you to spend a lot of time, effort, and energy and end up getting frustrated on stuff. And then your conversion isn't going to be good, and you're not going to grow your business and your revenue the way that you want. So you have to make sure that you're leveling those up, meaning practicing and getting better at them as you go through your iterations of your business day to day, week to week, and month to month. So what we're going to talk about today is pre-qualifying, and so a lot of times when people hear pre-qualifying, they automatically think of the first one, which is financial pre-qualifying. Absolutely, that's extremely important. You want to make sure that someone is financially pre-qualified before you start working with them. But some of what's going to happen sometimes is they're not going to be able to financially pre-qualify. That doesn't mean toss them aside. It means have some resources available that are going to allow you, that although they're not now business, it's going to allow you to put them into your bucket of future business for later, because you'll have a relationship with either a lender or a credit repair person or whoever it is that you need to have a relationship with, that's going to allow them to get that financial qualification later. So the next reason why you pre-qualify is to make sure that you're getting the commitment from the person the way that you need to, and then of course the final reason is to better understand the timing. So let me give you a really quick story, and this is a true story. Somebody that I was coaching. So they were transitioning from a full-time job into the real estate industry. So they were working from 8:30 until 5:30 every day in a very demanding job. Getting off of work and then getting in, doing the real estate stuff in between during the day whenever they could get to it, and then at night, and then on the weekends. And one Monday morning he came in and he just absolutely looked stir-fried, right? He just looked beat up. He'd had a long weekend. He hadn't had a whole lot of time to spend with his family, a young family that they were just, they were just getting their family started. He really wanted to get out of the job that he was in, so he was trying to burn the candle at both ends, but he just wasn't doing it effectively. And what he talked about his time on the weekend was that he met some people and they weren't serious about it. And other people were calling him a bunch and trying to get him to show properties and everything. So I asked him how many people were properly pre-qualified. And so he automatically went into the conversation about financial pre-qualification. I let him finish that. And at the end of that, I said, yes, but who's really pre-qualified on the things that make a decision, that help them make a decision on what they want to do with the real estate that they're purchasing? Kind of had a blank look on his face. Part of it was because he was tired, exhausted, a long weekend. And the other part of it, whenever we talked about that earlier in his training, it just wasn't something that stuck. So I want to make sure that pre-qualifying sticks with you as the broker and with your agents as you're dealing with them, because it makes all the difference in the world of their conversion. And it's the biggest place that people make the mistake of, they don't think they need to spend time doing it, which ends up costing them later. And they end up not learning the lessons that they should learn, because the things that were good opportunities end up slipping through their fingers because they weren't properly pre-qualified. So this is what I asked them to do. I said, I want you to go back and I want you to fill out the pre-qualification forms that we use. By the way, that's in the resource library for you guys to go in and use them however you want to use them. You can adapt them, change them, do whatever you want to do with them, but they're available for you in the resource library. So I had him go in, everybody that he was dealing with. What he was doing is he was working as a buyer's agent with a gentleman who'd been doing REOs for years and years and years. So there was always a constant influx of people that wanted to see properties. So I had him go in and I had him fill out all of the answers. I said he wasn't allowed to answer any phone calls. He wasn't allowed to talk to anybody. He wasn't anything until he got this exercise done. He needed to take every person that he was dealing with, and he needed to write on that sheet of paper. He needed to complete the answers as thoroughly as he possibly could. And then I wanted him to separate those into two categories. And there's probably about 12 questions on the form. But I wanted him to finish it out as thorough as he could. And I asked him to break them down into two categories. One category was, how many of those people did he have either all of the answers or 60% or more of the answers that he was completely confident in, meaning that he thought they were telling him the truth. I wanted that in one pile. I wanted everybody else in the other pile. That's all the people that gave their name and gave their phone number, but never opened an email, never answered the question about financing, never answered the question about specifically about what their time frame was to move or anything along those lines. So I asked him to break those down into two categories, and I said, hey, let's meet next Monday on this. So he called me on Wednesday and said, hey, Matt, I'm done. I'd love to meet with you about this. And he said, I get it. And I said, that's great. Come on in and let's meet. And so we sat down on Thursday. He had a stack about this big of people that the paperwork was either filled out or he had 60% of the answers that he completely trusted. He had a stack about this big of people that didn't have at least 60% of the form filled out, didn't have complete information on them, or they were answers that he didn't believe, meaning that he asked them what their time frame was and they gave him two different answers and they just weren't straightforward about what was going on with their financing. Oh, don't worry, I've got that figured out. Answers like that. So there was a very small stack and a very big stack. And this was the eye-opening minute for him, and I hope it will be for you so you don't have to go through that same thing from a time perspective if you're an agent. And if you're a broker, this is going to help your agents convert at an extremely high level as soon as they understand this. I asked him, I said, which stack of people are you spending the most time with out of the two of those? The ones that have come clean with you, that have done what they said they were going to do, that have given you the answers, have responded the way that they needed to, that group, or the group that was giving you half-baked answers, the ones that were not really showing you the respect that you deserve because you were trying to pre-qualify them and they weren't allowing it to happen the way that it needed to happen. He said clearly the second pile was the one he was spending the most time with. So I asked him, who did he think, if he just quit talking to them for 2 weeks, out of those two groups, which one would be there 2 weeks from now for him to be able to go back to and pick up the conversation where he left off? Of course, it was the group that had the most complete answers, the one that he had pre-qualified the best. So here's the reality of it. If you want your agents, and if you as an agent want to make sure that you're doing the most with your business, getting the best possible conversion you can, whether it's web leads, whether it's open house leads, whether it's for sale by owner, whether it's people that you're geographically farming, you have to make sure that you're asking the right questions consistently and asking to get an answer that you can believe in. The stack of people that you get that with, those are going to be people that for a long time do business with you because you have a real relationship with them. That other group of people, they're going to quit returning your call as soon as something convenient comes back. I want you to make sure that your conversion is high as possible. Spend the time with the people that respect your time. Make sure you're asking all of the right questions. And just like always, we hope this information helps. We just want to be part of the win. Thanks a lot.